Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, what is going on? My name is M1K3 and welcome back to a brand new video here on the channel. Today we are talking about why you do so great in the first 2 hours of a tournament, but somehow throw it all in the last hour. Before we get into that, around 42% of you guys watching are not subscribed. So if you have been enjoying the daily uploads, consider subscribing. And let's also go for 2,100 likes on today's video. And now let's get into today's episode. Getting right into it, I want to start this video off by going over why you play so incredibly well the first 7 games of a tournament. When you start a tournament, you know that you need 7 good games to do well. You're allowed to have 3 bad games. And most players know that even if you die a few times, there is still a chance that you can place highly. This results in most players starting their tournament off confidently. They play freely and relaxed. The reason behind this is that we know that even if we die, then it's whatever. We have more matches to play, and 1 or 2 bad matches doesn't determine how well we end up placing. The problem, or in other words, us playing worse, occurs when we are limited by either time or few matches remaining. When there's 1 hour remaining of a tournament, and we have 3 matches remaining, we tell ourselves and often our duo, okay, we have to survive all of our remaining matches. This makes our playstyle tight, careful, and tentative, a direct contrast to our playstyle in our first 7 matches. So how can you play with the same confident and consistent playstyle throughout an entire tournament? It's simple. When you get on to play a tournament, make sure you make absolutely every match you play count. Don't allow yourself to have 1 bad match where you don't fully focus and try. I don't care if it's a W key game or a bad elo game, farm your mats, get your extra shields, and get good loot before you leave your drop spot. Play every game as an individual game. This means you don't look at the tournament as a whole, but rather on single games one at a time. Every game you hop into, you think, how can I win this one game? What do I have to do to give myself the best terms of succeeding in this match alone? One thing I've found beneficial is thinking that every game you play is the only game in a tournament. And your placement in that game is the placement that you're gonna get on the leaderboard. So if you place 22nd, you'll place 22nd. If you place first in the game, you've won that tournament. This ensures I stay focused, play a perfect game fundamentally speaking, and I also take the necessary chances I have to take to win that game. Talking about taking chances, that brings me on to the next topic of today's video. A lot of players seem to play very carefully the last hour of a tournament, especially if they're doing good. But remember, we are here to win the game we're in, not to place 10th or 15th. Taking your chances when you get the opportunity is a big factor behind succeeding in competitive play. Whenever I've watched last games of players that aren't at a super high level, I see them missing too many opportunities that could have literally changed their game, if they just had the confidence to take them. Listen, Fortnite is all about risk management. And let's take an example. If you have 300 mats going into first moving in your last game, and you see that the player above you is popping minis, and you have 200 HP. You decide to jump into his box, and for some reason, you still die. That was still a good play. And it was the right play. You just executed it poorly. And I think a lot of players have bad experiences like this and just instantly think that the play they went for is bad because they died, and they talk themselves down a ton because it didn't go to plan. But guys, if you ever find yourself in first moving with 300 mats, 200 HP, and you see someone popping minis, you better go for that kill. Don't play too carefully. That will literally get you nowhere. Moving on, we need to talk about a mentality shift. A lot of players think the last hour of a tournament is the hardest, often because they after 2 hours are high up on the leaderboard and face other good players. But this is where you want a mentality shift. The last hour of a tournament is easy for us because most other players in our lobby are scared. They play careful and take no risks. This allows us, confident players, to run all over them. I always tell my duo when there's an hour left of the tournament, now we're playing against the people that never plays. We're playing against those players who say, I was top 20 the entire tournament, but choked the last 2 games. This gives both me and my duo a lot of confidence, as we play very confidently, freely, and we take the necessary chances to win the game we're in. Another highly beneficial tip I can give is to narrow your focus heavily in the last 3 matches you play. What I mean by this is when you jump into one of your last games, for the first 5 minutes, only think about how you're gonna drop perfectly, loot and farm quick, and win off spawn. Then after a few minutes, only think about how you're gonna get a mountaintop in the second zone. Then think about how you're gonna get center third, and so on. This narrowed focus allows us to do the given task at hand at a very high level. Because if you play off-spawn in your last game, thinking about how you need 15 kills in that game to qualify for the solo cash cup finals, you're not going to be as focused and sharp as if you're only thinking of how you're gonna win that off-spawn fight. The last and maybe the most important tip in today's episode is to play your tournament games based off your strengths, not weaknesses. If you know that you're awful at playing high ground, then don't try and play high ground in your final matches. If you're insane at playing defensively, then force the opponent you're fighting to be aggressive. If you suck at fighting, then don't go for a 40 bomb in your first game. Our weaknesses should be practiced outside of tournaments. And when it comes to a tournament day, we gotta show up with our strengths and try to limit playing around our weaknesses as much as humanly possible. There are so many players that think they need to go for a play because it theoretically is the right thing to do. But within themselves, they know they're bad at that given scenario. So if this is you, you must understand that theory and practice are 2 very different things. And even though something might be right in theory, doesn't mean you should go for it. In short, don't play around your weaknesses. Play around your strengths and you will already start seeing so much improvement. Guys, that's gonna be a wrap for today's daily upload. If I was a bit more quiet in this video, it's because it's literally 5 AM and I'm not trying to get smacked. But I still hope the message of today's video was clear. And with that all out of the way, it is time for me to hop to bed. And I hope you all have an amazing night. My name is M1K3 Editz. Stay safe and take care.